Pain is the best teacher. Pain is the only thing that's going to really teach you something.
Why am I acting the way I am? Why am I thinking the way I am?
This is when you start realizing what you're actually made of.
People's backgrounds can really enable them to be more understanding.
If you and I are having a conversation and you're saying something stupid, I'll call you up on
It is the lack of confidence in self.
Absolutely. 100%.
We never actually take time to study ourselves and understand.
You have to master your emotions in a way that you know when it's okay to be emotional. It's fucking totally normal to be emotional.
What you seek in partners is what you receive from your parents.
This is the Nico Lagan Show. Frankly, motivation is bullshit. What you need is discipline, and your mindset is the difference between success and failure. Warning. This show contains explicit content. Listener discretion is advised. Real, raw, and shooting you straight. This is the Nico Lagan Show. And now your host, Nico.
Looking back, I was not disciplined until I hit rock bottom. And I'm not saying that the rock bottom is what made me disciplined, but it's what made me go look after things that made me disciplined. I found martial art after that. And it's martial art that taught me how to be disciplined. It's hitting the gym that taught me how to be disciplined.
Well, this is a slight pathway from that. Yeah. But something that I'd say I find this very admirable about you is you are undeniably yourself and very confident, I feel like, in who you are at all times. And I can't say that I am at all times necessarily. And I'd say for a lot of young men speaking, they're not always necessarily super confident in who they are. How did you get to that point to where it's just like you are who you are at the end of the day and it does not matter?
I think people didn't give me a choice. I think this is actually how it started, because I have the type of personality you either really love or you fucking hate. I rub people the wrong way, and I've rubbed people the wrong way my whole life. And that's because I'm loud. I take a lot of space. I tend to say what's on my mind. I don't really give a fuck if it offends you or not. I'm not a dick. I'm not going to do it on purpose, but if you and I are having a conversation and you're saying something stupid, I'll call you up on it. And what is the average person going to do? You going to want to fight me? Sure, I'll knock your fucking head off. No, but seriously. My confidence started by me knowing that I could defend myself. Once you know that you can walk in a situation and say the worst case scenario that's going to happen is I'm going to get my ass kicked. I've had my ass kicked so many times in training. Who the fuck cares? I've broken my nose. I fucked up my whole face from bar fights, and police is there showing up trying to arrest me, and I'm laughing my ass off and I'm bleeding all over the place. Who the fuck cares? It's pain. Pain's temporary. It's going to go away. When you think about that, what's the worst that's going to happen in any given situation? Somebody's going to kick your ass. Ooh. You start to understand that you should be yourself at all times. Because, again, what's the worst that's going to happen? Okay, you're going to say stupid shit. You're going to insult people. They're going to want to fight you, because at the end of the day, is that not the worst that can happen?
Yeah, like getting punched in the face.
But think about it. What's the worst that can happen to you in any given situation is that, well, obviously you could die, but most of the time, the worst that's going to happen is somebody's going to want to put their fist in your mouth.
Yeah, no, I always just found that interesting because, I feel like, I don't know. I wonder where that stems from, though. Is the lack of confidence in self? I think it really just comes from, it has maybe accomplishment, but also caring so deeply about what others think. And this is a point that I got from Marcus Aurelius. The Meditations book is the reason so many men are unhappy is because we put our happiness in the hands of other people.
Absolutely, 100%. There's that beautiful saying that says, we buy shit we don't need to impress people we don't even like. And this is exactly what it is. In today's world, we want to appear very cool on social media, but we're just showing highlights of our lives. We don't show the sucky part. We don't show how unconfident. Look at the average social media presence. They're not fucking confident. They're not confident. At one point, it's very easy to have direct recognition from a massive audience to, oh, fuck, I saw a content creator the other day that posted a picture that says, oh, I look ugly today. You know what she's doing. She's looking for guys.
Validation
Exactly.
Yeah.
You see it all over the place. But why do you think that is? Participation medals. They never suffered. They never really, those fucking safe space. This is one of the worst things that you can do to a kid. Create safe spaces where they cannot be challenged, they cannot suffer, they cannot be hurt, they cannot feel bad about what they are or who they are. And then you wonder why you have a bunch of pussies walking around that can't take criticism, they're not coachable, that are out of shape, that don't know how to defend themselves, and they wonder why everybody's depressed. You have no confidence, you have no purpose, you have nothing, and you wonder why you're not happy.
I think a lot of that is the fault of the parents.
It's not a lot of that. It's 100% the fault of the parents.
And I just don't understand how that happens, though, because I feel like, most people will know by the time they're a parent. Let's say they're at least mid-20s. Yeah. For the most, at least, How have you not understood at that point that you can't shelter your kid from certain things and they have to go through certain hardships and you have to walk them through that to get them to understand certain things?
It's easy to explain, actually, because you look at Second World War finished in 1945. Those are really the last generation of really hard men. Like, those guys were young men. They went to war. They saw a bunch of people die. They came they came back from that PTSD. They're fucked up, right? They're raising kids, the baby boomers, which are my parents, like people in their 60s, 70s right now. They were raised by hard men, but not necessarily. It must have been hard to deal with parents with PTSDs, or fathers with PTSD. Then they look at their parents and they're like, shit, I don't want to be like my parents, so I'm going to teach my kid different. So if you look at, I was born in the 80s. In my opinion, I'm the last generation of men that were not over-sheltered by everything. Because you start seeing it in the 90s, and then the 2000s is just a completely different game. But it's really just the parents are raised a certain way. Now they look at their past life and they're like, okay, my dad was like this. That caused me all those hardships that made me feel that way because I wasn't loved the way I should have been loved. I didn't have what I should have had. But then you look at the baby boomers, they have the best life in American history. They came in a way where the Americans were, like, the U.S. was on top of the game. They were a superpower in the world. There was so much money coming in. They don't realize that the hardship that they've had to live through because of their fathers coming back from the war made them the people that they are today. So they look, instead of analyzing and realizing that the reason that they are the way they are is because of all the shit that happened to them. It's not the good moments that make you a good person. It's all the shitty fucking moments and you're like, motherfucker, what am I going to do? Winning, and I'm not saying winning is easy, but winning is the easy part. When you get to win, this is easy. What the fuck did you have to do to get there, though? That's the hard part. It's everything you had to overcome. So you got a bunch of parents that think that they had it too hard, so they're going to be a lot gentler on their kids. They're going to try to become their friends. And this is the biggest problem that I see today, is parents are not trying to be parents anymore. Parents are trying to be friends with their kids. You're not their friends. You're definitely not their friends. You are their parents. You are a source of authority. You are a source of discipline. You're a source of consequences. If your kids are not listening, have you ever seen a kid talk back to their parents and calling them names? Crazy. I've wanted to throw that kid off. And like Jordan Peterson says, would you like your kids if they weren't yours?
That's really interesting. I think a lot of parents should do that test as well.
think if that kid wasn't, look at the way your kid behaves and imagine that it's not yours, that kid is not your kid. Would you still love them, or are they fucking little dicks?
Yeah.
But that's what it comes down to. Parents have, we always have a tendency to look at the way we were raised and say, okay, those are all the bad things that happened to me. I wish there would have been more good things. And then when you're raising your own kids, you're like, oh, well, I'm going to teach them only the good things because I don't want them to suffer. Without realizing that all the sufferance that you've had made you the person that you are today. For the longest time, I was frustrated because I didn't have a dad growing up. Because not only that, but imagine my dad left at 14. I saw him maybe 4 times until he died, and I was just before my 30s. So the guy that is my biological dad decided not wanting to be part of my life. So not only am I not getting the male influence that I should have, but the person that should have taught me decided to leave. So for the longest time I was frustrated by that. You feel abandoned. You're like, what the fuck? The person that should be there for me is not there. But then looking back today, I'm like, fuck, best gift he's ever given me.
Because that's who made you. That's what made you who you are today.
Absolutely. Why would I want to help other men that grew up without a father? Why do I want to help younger men that don't have a very strong masculine influence in their life if I didn't know what it felt like? How could they associate that with me and being somebody that can help them if I never suffered through it?
No, because I think about that as well, and in terms of my own circumstances growing up as well. Yeah. Like my dad was deployed for primarily like the most of my life, so I had to seek those outside mentors, and all those hard times where a lot of those lessons that I wasn't necessarily able to learn from my father, I had to either learn on my own the hard way, and that I'd say is what's honestly probably helped my success is the fact that like I feel I'm a lot more receptive to new ideas because I never had ideas always like constantly beaten into me. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, I don't know. It's just so interesting how people's backgrounds can really enable them to be more understanding of others and be able to understand situations differently.
But at the same time, I get a lot of backlash for what I say because of the way I say it, because of the past that I have. Because now we tend to sugarcoat everything. So if you have somebody that's harsh, because there's harsh through Jesus Christ, that's a complicated word for a Frenchman, but there's very harsh through a truth out there. There's some realities that are as real today as they were 3,000-4,000 years ago, and pain is the best teacher. Pain is the only thing that's going to really teach you something. But then we shelter our kids to a point that they never experience pain, or we don't want them to experience pain, so that when they get into the real life, they suffer all the time, and because they've never suffered before, they're like, what the fuck am I supposed to do here? So we got a bunch of eternal teenagers that are walking around with no emotional development that should have been done 15 years prior because they were so sheltered, and then we wonder why we have such a high rate of depressed kids. Have you ever looked at the stats?
No, I have not.
It's fucking scary.
What, in terms of the kids that label themselves that have depression?
There's so many kids that are 10, 15, 20 years old that are depressed. You live in one of the best countries on the planet, and you're depressed. You're depressed from what? What do you have to be depressed about?
Well, you know what I think it comes from as well is also, like we were talking about earlier, is we're so focused on consumption all the time that people can't find external happiness outside of their phones and the electronic devices that they have. But also there's so many problems I feel like in the health system of someone says that they can't focus. So what's the first thing they get is they get Adderall. And instead of teaching people and understanding, hey, this is how I operate. This is how I think. Because it's like the education system. Some people are audio, visual, kinesthetic learners. We never actually take time to study ourselves and understand, hey, why am I acting the way I am? Why am I thinking the way I am? And when it comes to depression, it's like instead of going straight to drugs, why not offer them meditation and diet and exercise and natural remedies? Because these things were not as prevalent as they are today as they were in the past. Like in the past, I mean, of course, you get the people every once in a while, and maybe they have a traumatic and fucked up history. Yep. And I understand that sometimes you do need those external drugs to help deal with some things. Understand. Mm-hmm. But it should not be as commonly widespread as it is today.
But it goes even further than that. The biggest issue that I see with antidepressant is not that they exist, is that they are used as a long-term fixer. So it's not just to get your head above water. Like something happens, you're depressed, you have an experience that happens to you, you don't know how to cope with it. They give you antidepressant, you're feeling better, now the real work starts. It's not, antidepressant is not the solution. Antidepressant is to keep your head above water from a place where you want to fucking shoot that head off your shoulders. And then once you feel better, that's when you're supposed to start working. That's when you're supposed to go see a psychologist. That's another thing. Like,
it's kind of funny that you say that. It's almost like that gets you to that manageable working point. But then it's up to you to dig yourself out of that and get yourself to a point where, like, hey, I'm back to normal. Ship's going great.
But understand why you were depressed. Understand that antidepressant drugs are going to get you to a level, as you said, that's manageable. And from there, the real work starts. Start meditating, start introspecting, talk to a psychologist if you have to. Find mentors around you that has gone through things like that. There's no experience in your life that never happened before. You're not that fucking special. Everything that you've lived has happened to other people. Maybe it's different people that will need to help you on different aspects of your life. Sure. But at the end of the day, we were so fucking cocky thinking that we're special and our life experience have never happened before. There's nothing special about people out there. If you really want to get help, you'll find somebody that's been through what you're going through, that's been through it, that lived through it, that is now okay. And not only are they okay, but they use that as one of their strengths now. Yeah. So it's up to you to find those people. Yeah. Once your head is above water, start looking for people that can inspire you, that can help you get out.
And I also feel like, especially as a kid, especially people under the age of 18, it's not only the kid's responsibility, it's also the responsibility of the parent 100%. To help them get out of that and understand that, look, medication, short-term fix, not long-term, mm-hmm. And it's up to you to help guide your kid to, hey, these are the steps we're going to take. We're going to get you into the gym. We're going to get you into maybe a team sport, whatever it may be, and get them to a space where they can rebuild and like... People, when they get depressed, they go into like recluse mode. They shut themselves off from the rest of the world. Yep. And the best way to fix that is to, as soon as you're ready, is go out there and start socializing. You need to be around people, because people, it's like the energy you feed off of each other. And once you get that compatibility, you can relate to people. It's just going to build you up to a much better place than staying as a recluse and just staying stagnant and deteriorating.
I think it's Jim Carrey that says, I'm going to butcher his saying, but if you're not exercising, if you're not eating well, if you don't have good people around you, if you're not going outside to be in the sun, you're not giving yourself a fighting chance. Like, you got to take care of yourself. It's not something that's just going to go away. Medication is, again, going to help you temporarily, but there's a bigger issue at hand. If you're not feeling well in your skin, there's a problem. Explore what the fuck that problem is. It's okay to hurt. It's okay to feel like shit. It's okay to feel like you want to put a bullet through your head. No, but it's okay. I don't know why it's so taboo to speak about this. It's okay to feel like shit. How many times have I felt like shit? You think it was fun to live alone? I spent weeks and weeks and weeks by myself. I wouldn't see anybody. You think that was fun?
No.
It's not. You don't think that there's some times I felt like rolling myself in a ball and staying in bed all day? Fuck yeah, and it happened many times that I felt like doing it. But it's okay to suffer. This is when you start realizing what you're actually made of.
Yeah.
But then we don't allow ourselves to suffer. As soon as we feel uncomfortable, we got to take a little drug to make us feel better. No, fuck that shit. If you feel bad, meditate on it. Let yourself be sad. You want to cry? Fucking cry. Don't try to hide it. Just fucking cry. Let that shit out. It's okay to feel like shit. But we're so ingrained with the thought that we should never feel bad. We should never suffer. We should just be happy all the time.
Is that more of a problem that you'd say that just men deal with? Is in terms of, I would say, at least I feel this way. I can't speak on everyone.
Yeah.
I feel like as a man, there is so much more pressure to just hide your emotions and to not show that emotional side, even if you have a partner, to not be emotional with that partner. When in reality, I feel like also women are sometimes the best people to be that can help guide that emotional intelligence and guide you on that emotional journey as well.
You know, there's a big misconception. I think that I personally have never heard a guy, and I've had a lot of friends in the military. I come from a military family, and I've been in martial art for most of my life. I've really never heard guys say to other that they shouldn't talk about the emotion. They shouldn't talk about how they feel. The misconception, and it's women that don't understand this, because women love to talk about emotions. This is all they do. They're very emotional creatures. The thing they don't get is the job of a man is to have control over those emotions. It's not saying that you should never be emotional. You shouldn't ever show emotions. You should always be very robotic. It's just there's a time and place for everything. You have to master your emotions in a way that you know when it's okay to be emotional. If you're with your wife, if you're with your kids, it's fucking totally normal to be emotional. Who else are you going to be emotional with? Yeah. But how many times have I been in a work situation where something happens and then you have a woman employee that's crying? She shouldn't be crying. She should get that shit under control and wait till she's home. There's a time and place for everything. But at the same time, the average woman is more emotional than the average guy. In the same way where they're more nurturing, they're more compassionate, they're more kind, they care more. Guys like things, women care. This is the best way I can explain the differences between the two of us. And it's okay. It's not a bad thing. I'm not saying that women that have too much emotion. But can you imagine you're in a relationship with two extremely emotional people that don't have any control over them? But that's my point. You know, there's an expression that says that a man for a woman is her rock, as in he helps her gain control over her emotions. And this is exactly how I see it.
So if the man's the rock, then what is the woman to the man in that scenario?
So the saying goes somewhat along the lines of a man is a woman's rock, a woman is let me rephrase that. A man is a woman's rock, and a woman is a man's not flaw, but is a man's shit. How do you call it? When you have a soft spot, like something that people can attack. It's your weakness. So yeah, that's what it is. So a man is a woman's rock, and a woman is a man's weakness.
As in they fill in that weakness? more or less?
No, as in they allow themselves to be emotional with them. They allow themselves to show every part of themselves, meaning that eventually she becomes one of your weakness, because she knows you, she knows what you are, and all of the things that you're capable of. And who else are you supposed to show it? If as a man you're supposed to have control over your emotions, you're supposed to have control over your behaviors, and you can't show that to your wife. On the contrary, you should show. My girlfriend knows all the little things that anybody else in my life will never know, because I have control over those parts. I don't need to show people all the little things of me, but my girlfriend needs to know. My girlfriend's is not in here not to know me. She wants to see everything out of me. So this is why I think that expression is so good. As a man, you center a woman, and as a woman, she helps you, or at least you should let all of that stuff out with her.
At what point do you feel like a young man should be searching for, like, hey, it's time for me to find a partner?
It depends on the maturity level, because you guys, like, if I look at you, Jack and James, I got a feeling that you're going to find it earlier than later. But that's because you're very mature on a lot of aspects of your life. You've understood some things that has taken me a lot of time to understand. In your 20s, man, I'm not saying you should have as much sex as possible, but you should date as much as possible. You should entertain relationships with women as much as possible. Figure out what you're like. Because your 20s, you should start realizing what matters to you. What are your values as a man? What do you believe in? What is important to you? The way you were raised, what is really part of you in a way that you will not compromise those things. Those are truly what you believe in.
Do you feel like men should date before they feel like they are fit, like financially able to take care of someone else?
Repeat that question.
Do you feel like men should date before they feel like they can financially take care of someone else?
It's a vicious circle, because as a man you don't have, so.
Because I feel like a lot of young men, right? They can, maybe when they're first getting started out in their career, it's the first money they've ever touched in their lives, and they're able to take care of themselves, but they're not necessarily able to take care of someone else. Do you feel like people should still be dating around that time?
So this is a thing that's not taught to young men anymore, and I'm not sure why. I find it very puzzling. But young men have no value. Like you, for example, you're not a valuable asset. You're too young. One of the main differences between a man and a woman becomes a woman the day that she can have children. And this is a reality. A woman's worth, as bad as this is going to sound, a woman's worth is based on her capacity of procreation. A man's worth is on his capacity to provide, to protect that woman. Because when that woman is pregnant, she's vulnerable. She wants a big, strong man to make sure that she can get protected. And her kids the same way. Kids are vulnerable. Who are going to protect those kids? Strong men. A strong man that has a monster inside of him, but that knows how to control it. This is what women want. Women out there that tells you that they don't want a strong man are fucking full of shit. They don't like the idea that that's what they want, because they don't want to feel like they're dependent on a strong man. But at the end of the day, when you're a young man, you don't have a lot of value because you're not a provider. And this is the biggest thing that you can do: protect and provide to a family. How do you become better at providing? You make more money. How do you make more money? With time. Unless you're born into it, but most of us are not.
So would you say that's why people talk about the different primes of, like, a woman's prime is like in their early to mid 20s, and then a man's prime is in his early to mid 30s?
Oh shit, that's not even true. That's nowhere close to being true. So there's something called the sexual market value. that is based on the principle that I was talking about. So you have the principle of procreation for a woman, and you have the principle of provider for a man. In the same way, you look at most very attractive early 20s women, they're with older men because they're providers. They can provide a security that you cannot provide them. So if you look at the way it works, if you want to become the best provider that you can be, it's not even your 30s. Most men start making money in their 30s. I was just looking at research this week. The most money a man does is somewhere in his 50s.
Wow.
So you have a long fucking way to go, bro.
Yeah.
You're going to make money hands over fist. Like, you're going to make so much money eventually, it's going to be crazy. But a man has no value in his 20s. So your 20s should be spent on figuring out who you are, what you like, and what your values are. Spend as much time as possible with as many different girls as possible. And again, let me rephrase this. I'm not saying you should sleep with all of them. All I'm saying is you should look at what you find attractive. What talks to you? What do you want? What do you love about women? So that when you feel that you're becoming of age where you're starting to make money, you're like, you know what? I think I can afford to have a family. I think I can afford to change my mindset. And instead of just meeting women over women, I can go out there and really start looking for one that I really want to spend time with.
Yeah. I think an interesting point I heard the other day is on finding someone like the right person to settle down with is, if you were to have kids with them, would you want an exact duplicate of that woman or of your partner? Like, because that's ultimately a lot of the times who you kind of bring into the world is your kids are in somewhat a reflection of you.
That's interesting.
You know, so your partner would, if you look at them, would you want a miniature version of them? Would you want to bring that into this world?
I've never thought about that before. I can tell you that if I have a little girl, I would want her to be exactly like my girlfriend is. Absolutely. She holds all the values that I find very important in a woman. And I would be ready to bet that she would say the same about me. Like, if she wants a boy, she'd like a boy that resembles me.
That's important, right?
That's very interesting. I've never thought about it. I've never considered that before, but that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, you like that, huh? Yeah, that's crazy.
But it makes 100% sense when you think about it. But yeah, man, spend as much time as you can having, I don't want to say having fun because fun is dangerous, but exploring all the beautiful things that are out there, and especially exploring yourself.
That's been a big one.
Being able to, I wish I would have been able to know what and who I was in my 20s. It would have saved me a lot of time.
I've been thinking a lot about this is something that's plugging me very, very near to you, because it's a very reflection. Is I wondered to myself, is why don't I respond? Like so it goes deeper than just texting, right?
Yep.
So for everyone who's watching, I am terrible at responding to people via text.
Oh, he is. Fuck, he's terrible. That's
terrible.
True.
I'm the absolute worst.
Yep.
It doesn't matter if you're family,
no.
Nico. Doesn't matter who you
Your
are.
business partner. We're James and Jackson.
Yeah.
We're complaining about the same thing.
I'm terrible. Okay, but I think I'm wondering where that originates from, and I think part of it has to come from childhood trauma of not necessarily, what's a good way to put it? Not even though people feel like they understand who I am.
Yeah.
Not actually like willing to express myself as myself and just unconditionally being myself at all times. But I don't know. I'm sorry for kind of going not having a complete thought there. But I just did a terrible job of trying to explain that.
But I'm trying to understand the segue. So you're terrible at responding to text. That we both agree. That we both
agree.
That we understand.
But I'm also, I feel like I close myself off from people as well. Like I'm not too great at making new friends.
Do you see those texts and you just choose not to answer? Is that what it is? Like, be honest. Do you actually? Because you're on your
No,
phone.
it's
Your phone's right next to you.
It's
right
one of
now.
those things where it's like I'm doing something, so I'll be working on something throughout the day,
Yeah, yeah.
and I'll just be like, oh, I'll respond to it later, and then I just never get back to it.
Okay.
So it's
yeah, but I do
innocent.
that sometimes.
It's innocent. It's not like
Okay.
I'm like like
Yeah, fuck that.
yeah,
guy.
like I'll talk to him in 2 days.
Yeah,
In two
yeah.
But I don't know, man. It's I don't know.
But why? You know what? That's interesting. Why would you feel? Because you said it earlier. You said something along the lines that you've moved here, and outside of Jack and James, you don't really have any friends. Why is that?
Well, I think a part of it comes from me not necessarily putting myself in situations to meet new people, and I view this like partners as well. Is like, how can I expect to meet a girlfriend if I don't put myself in places to actually meet new people and meet new women, right? If I'm not going out to, let's say, the bar or the park, or joining a club team, whatever it may be, to actually meet new people, I'm not going to meet new people. So I think that happens from my own circumstance, really, of just not going out and putting myself out there in that instance. But yeah.
Is that something that's normal for 20-year-olds? I'd be curious to. I'm gonna have to research this because I wonder. I've never thought about this. Is it normal to, especially for your age group, growing up with technology? Because I've noticed that most people your age and younger are having a lot of problems forming relationships outside of their phones. Like, it's very easy for them to be on their phone talking to their friend or messaging, chatting, whatever the fuck you guys do nowadays. But you're let's call it interacting. You're interacting with your friends, but you're not doing it in a direct way where you're talking to them. You're not with them. You're doing it at a distance through technology. I got a feeling that that's really destroying you guys' capacity of having a relationship with each other.
Yeah, I mean, people are way more prevalent on their phone now, rather than face-to-face interactions. And I think people's social skills are diminishing dramatically because of that.
But because one of the things, you guys are all aware of Tinder, of Grindr, and all those fucking all those apps / websites you can use to meet people. I think this is also something that you guys are having issues with because you're so used to being able to go on Tinder, swipe left, swipe right. You're going to meet somebody there. You're going to meet somewhere. You never worked for anything. You didn't have to
get out of your comfort zone,
Exactly.
ask her for her number,
Uh-huh.
start the conversation, hold a conversation. Then
Is that something you do? Like, do you approach women? Like, let's say you find a very attractive woman. Do you approach her? Why
You know
not?
what's weird is
Why not?
my relationship with women is it's weird right now in terms of I went through a heartbreak
Yeah.
a couple years ago,
Yeah.
and I don't know why I haven't approached girls since then. I had a girl. It was like I'd say like first love.
Yeah, yeah.
In love with her.
Yeah.
Breaks up with me 3 days before Christmas.
Oh, what a bitch.
ruined that Christmas for me. But since then, and I haven't actually been approaching people. Ever since then, I've been on that like arc of just like, you know what, I'm just gonna focus on myself, work on me, work on my businesses, and that's it.
But that's not normally a bad thing, though.
It's not, but it's also like it's that realization I was having the other day. Is like me being alone in the city with no one else here. Is that just immense freedom, or is that loneliness?
But again, it's okay to be lonely.
Yeah.
See, this is another thing that we're scared of, is spending a lot of time by ourselves. I'm an extrovert, so it was very hard for me to learn that. But now, oh fuck, man, I cherish my time alone. There's a good reason I'm up at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 hours before my girlfriend gets up. I like that time alone. I like to be alone doing my shit, not having to interact with other people, just me, myself, and I. It's something that I've really grown to not only enjoy, but like I said, cherish. All my best work is done then. But at the same time, it's important that you learn how to interact with other people. Because it's pretty funny that you guys have the balls. Let me ask you this, does James have problems approaching women?
No, no. Well, I think he probably does it the most out of the three of us.
Yeah.
Like, we'll just be in a coffee shop working, and there'll just be a girl there, and he'll just be like, all right, like, she's cute, I'm gonna go talk to her.
Yeah.
And he'll do it. And I don't think he's ever been told no. Because I think most girls, I think if you show them the confidence that, like, hey, like, I think you're pretty, love to take you out sometime, would love to hang out, get to know you some more, I think most people are overall very receptive to that and would say yes.
So what's the difference between him and you?
None. I think if I approached people, I also would have similar results. Maybe not, you know, yeah, no, honestly, yeah, probably pretty similar results.
So why not do it?
Because I'm a little bitch.
There you go. But that's what it comes down to. Because technically you do the exact same job as he does.
Yeah.
You guys are worth about the same amount of money, so there's not a lot of discrepancy there. So what's the difference?
You're asking me some uncomfortable questions right now.
Well, you put yourself in that situation, bro. You asked me a question, and I'm just using an example because I knew you were going to tell me James looked like the type of guy that he approached women.
Yeah, he does approach women. Yeah.
He's a little douche. Like he's a good-looking kid. He's in shape. I'm a douche. I've always approached women too. Like he's cocky. Like James had a lot of cocky in him, and it's okay. It's not a bad thing. But I can see that being just like, yeah, fuck it. What's the worst thing that's gonna happen?
Yeah, for me, I don't know. I'm at such a weird crossroads right now. Cause like there's also these apps like Tinder, like all those apps you
Makes
mentioned.
things easy.
Great for a hookup, but that's not really what I'm interested in right now. For me, it's just like I'm at that point where I'd rather just have one girlfriend that I can just like, whether that turns out to be my wife or not, I'd rather just have one intimate like ride or die partner that I can just be with. And that's the different stages that I feel like me and James are at necessarily is he'll go talk with anyone in any given circumstance. Whereas me, it's almost like, does that woman have the values to potentially be my wife, or like, do we have similar interests and values? Because I'm not willing to like, I don't know. I'm not willing to just put myself out there to everyone.
But how are you gonna figure it out if you don't ask?
You won't.
But that's my point. That's exactly my point. So there shouldn't be any difference between what you and James do, in a way where it's all about planting seeds, right? You meet a woman, you take her out, you like her, you don't, because if I can give you a trick, there's an easy way to actually weed out women that you don't want to be with. Ask them this question. Ask them what is the best memory that they have of their dad. And right then and there, you can tell if that woman is going to be a good one or not.
That's so interesting.
Because if she looks at you and right away, big smile on her face, she gets teary eyes, she gets very emotional about it, that means that she had a great relationship, or at least a good relationship with her father. And a father is a daughter's first love. Like her first man love is towards her father. Same thing as you and I. Our first love, if your mother's present, your first love is your mother. I see it, as fucked up as this sounds, I see a lot of qualities that my girlfriend has that my mom has. And this, I know that that's where it comes from. It's really, as a boy, my mother's my first woman love. Yeah. So you tend to judge other women by her standard.
So it's almost like what you seek in partners is what you received from your parents.
So imagine that you ask a woman you just met, what is the best memory you have of your dad? And her first reaction is like, fuck my dad. Ooh, get up and leave. This right there is a problem. And I'm not saying that she is a problem that cannot be fixed. But that type of answer shows you that she's never worked on the problem. So let's say that she did have a shitty father and the father treated her wrong. Let's assume that that's what it is. She's never accepted that. Because just her answer right then and there is telling you that she has a lot of personal work to do on herself. You don't want to touch a woman that... You don't want to be in a relationship with a woman that has daddy issues, that haven't.
I at least tried to work on them and acknowledge the problem.
Exactly. I'm not saying that you don't want to date a woman that has had daddy issues.
Because that's out of your control. Yeah.
Exactly. Like if you had a shitty father or a shitty mother, that's out of your control. But did you do the work? Did you end up and make peace with the fact that I made peace with the fact that I had a shitty father? It made me who I am today. But I did the work. How many men out there are still pissed at their father for leaving? I'm not pissed at him. Not at all. I haven't been pissed at him in a very fucking long time. So the same thing is true for women. If you want a trick, just ask them, how's their relationship with their father, or what's their fondest memory of their father. Right then and there, you can tell the type of woman you're dealing with. Yeah. And I know that I can ask my girlfriend that, and she'll get teary eyes. Because she's Italian, her parents are married for 35, 40 years now. They've been together forever. So her father's always been there, has always been present. Is he perfect? Fuck no. There's no perfect man out there. But he was a great man. Or he is a great man. He's still alive.
Yeah. It's always interesting, the fact of you're never just marrying the person either. You're marrying their family. Because if you think about it, all that baggage of their cousins, their aunts, their uncles, a lot of that weighs not only on their thoughts, but they weigh in on the relationship overall.
If they see, this is an interesting subject that you're bringing, because that's another one that I like to talk about, but most people don't like this one. I'm not close to my family. Like, I have my mother and my sister. I'm not close to them. I would say that I have a bad relationship with them. And it's mostly because of me. It's mostly of the way I am. They don't like the type of person that I am. And it's okay. I'm myself. You said it earlier. I will be myself till the day I die. I will not hide who I am. I believe in what I am, and I am very truthful to what I am. But this rubs people the wrong way. For whatever the fuck reason, they don't like my personality. And I don't like victims. They have victim personalities. They like to blame other people for their problems. I can't fucking stand people that do that. So I don't have a good relationship with them. So it's okay, but it's okay to remove them from your life. See, this is something that people are not often ready to do. You know how freer you become when you remove all the bullshit from your life?
Oh, so much.
The fact, I've had religious people give me shit for what I'm saying right now, but you don't need to love your parents. And I'm not saying I don't love my mother, that's not what I'm saying, but there's a situation where you might not love your parents. But the Bible doesn't tell you to love your parents. It tells you to respect your parents, to honor your parents. That's just respect. I have a lot of respect for my mother. But do I have the best relationship with her? No, and I probably will never have the greatest relationship with her. But it's okay to cut those people off. So if you meet someone that has a lot of baggage within their family, sometimes it's better to remove it. I don't have a good relationship with my family, but you know what? I have a fucking good relationship with my girlfriend's mother. She's fucking awesome. Yeah. She's done shit for me, like she treats me like her son.
That's amazing.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's definitely one of the things that I look for, especially in a girl. Is like what is your family values, and what is your family life like? Because like you said, I completely understand everyone's situation is different, but because I look at my two older brothers are both married. I look at their family relationships and their family dynamics, like their wives' family dynamics, and I think it's amazing. Like whenever I go back to Virginia, we all hang out, and I'm like, wow, like whenever I have a partner, I want to also make sure that their family that they have with them is something that I get along with, and their values, we all coincide together. Because I really believe it's not just the wife, it's really everyone involved.
But that's what I was telling you earlier. It's very important in your 20s to figure out what your values are. And this is one of your strongest values you'll ever have, is that family is important to you. And you know what? As much as I didn't have a traditional family growing up, family is extremely important to me, which is why I'm with a woman that's extremely close to her family. We're on the road, and she must speak to her mother once a day. If it's not once a day, it's once every 2 days. And it's not a long conversation. It's just, hey, was thinking about you. What's going on? What you guys doing? Okay, cool. Bye. That's it.
Yep.
But it's every day-ish. Every 2 days they speak. It doesn't matter that they're in Canada and we're in fucking Texas. Like, we couldn't be further away from them in North America. We're as fucking far as we can be, almost. But they still talk almost every day. They have a great relationship between the two of them. Her family is so important to her. But I chose my girlfriend because of that. It's one of the biggest qualities, and this she doesn't like when I say that. It's probably not the smartest thing I could say, but I did not choose my girlfriend because she's the best looking girl. I didn't choose her because she had the greatest personality. And I'm not saying that she's not, but those are not the reasons why I chose her. I chose her for her values. She's an attractive girl. I love who she is. I love what she is. But her values are just extraordinary. You know, my girlfriend doesn't work. She hasn't worked in months now, but you know what she does? She takes care of me without me asking. I came back from the gym earlier, so I've been up since like 2 o'clock. I worked until about 10-ish, went to the gym, came back at 12. I had to jump on a call with one of my employees he had questions, so I jumped on a call with him, and she looks at me, she's like, hey, you want me to make you food? Because she knew I had to come back here and start setting up for the podcast. I didn't ask. She takes care of me.
It's amazing.
But that's the type of woman she is. That's the type of woman I chose. I knew what she was before I went in a relationship with her, because that is important to me.
That's so true. I always see that saying is don't just marry a woman for her looks, because looks will always fade within all of us with age. But if you marry a woman for her values and for who she is at the end of the day, that's the woman that will also raise your kids.
And that's another thing that my girlfriend doesn't believe in divorce.
That was the next topic I want to get into is why do you think nowadays divorce is so much more common than it was, 50 years ago?
I'm divorced. I've been married before. And because I chose, this is going to sound bad, and hopefully my ex-wife doesn't hear this, but I chose with my penis and not with my head. Love is a choice. Unlike what romantic comedies are trying to convince you of, it is a choice to love somebody. It's a choice you make every single day when you get up in the morning. You choose to spend time with that person. You choose to love that person. It's a choice. It is not just emotions. At this point, to me, love is a logical thing. If my value aligns with that person, if I love the type of individual that she is, I will love her. But that's a conscious decision that I take to love her because I know who she is. I don't just love her because she's a woman and she's sexy and she's hot. No, fuck no. As you said, this shit fades. That might be what attracted you to her in the first place. You saw her somewhere, you're like, fuck, that woman's hot.
Yeah, our attraction is always the base. That's always the step one. Yeah.
But that's why they say you should never take any life-changing decisions within 12 to 18 months of meeting someone. You should never have kids. You should never get married. You should never move in together within that period of time, because that honeymoon phase, as they call it, where your hormones are all over the place in your brain, and your brain is releasing enzymes everywhere telling you, ooh, that person's fucking awesome. You're in love with that person. She's awesome. You need to wait till that shit goes away, or at least tames down, so that you can see the person for what she is. Take the time. This is one of the biggest mistakes that we've done, and I've done it. I think I was married within a year of meeting my ex-wife.
How long did that?
9 months.
Okay.
So our divorce took more time to finalize than the time we were together as married people.
At what point, I know it's probably getting a little bit touchy here.
But that's fine.
But at what point were you like this is not going to be compatible?
You know what? People fight over two things. Married people always fight over two things: sex and money. Sex was a problem. And I'm not saying she was the problem. Beautiful girl. She used to be a model, like super beautiful girl. But I'm not just attracted. Unlike most men, I'm not only attracted to women because they're hot. They need to have something else. It's always been like that. There's always something, there's an X factor in a woman, and sometimes that X factor goes away. I don't know how to explain it. I haven't been able to figure out what it is exactly, but I wasn't as attracted in her as I lose interest in most women extremely fast. I don't know if I don't know why. I don't know if somebody hears this and they know what the fuck the problem is with me. That's fine, but please let me know. But this is why I'm saying that love is a choice, because that infatuation that you have, that 12 to 18 months that you have, me is maybe 6 months. But after that, what do you do? And this is what happened with my ex-wife. When that period was over, I'm like, holy fuck, I can't spend my life with her.
You're like, well, I got that's who I'm taking with to the grave. That's who I'm going to spend all my time with.
But that's my point. And I feel bad for her because this is my fault. This is that one is on me. Mm-hmm. This was my fault. I wanted to get divorced, not her.
So that is a very unique to you situation.
Yeah.
But why do you think society as a whole is dealing with more divorce nowadays rather than 50 years ago?
Same reason as me. Values don't align. And you're not making a conscious decision to love that person. You're basing your love on someone, or the love that you have for someone, on the way you feel, instead of basing your love for someone on the way they are and what they represent to you. Because when you're in a relationship, sometimes you want to kill the other person you're with. They get on your nerves so bad that you wish they would just fucking disappear. But at the same time, you still realize how much value they hold to you, like how much valuable those people are in your life. But what does it come down to? Values. This is what makes it. This is really when your values align with someone. Imagine having kids with someone that they don't want to raise them the same way you do. What do you do then? You don't think that's going to be a problem? Yeah. My girlfriend and I don't have kids, but we both agree that our kids are not going to be raised in the education system. I'm working my ass off day in, day out to make sure that I can afford all the tutors that they'll ever need. So that they can be raised by people that I respect, that will teach them 50% of what they need to know. The academic side, we'll have tutors teaching them. Life, I'll teach them. Yeah. My wife will teach them. But this is a job that we both agree. This is something that since I've met her, I know family is the most important thing to her, so she doesn't believe in divorce. And she also doesn't want to have her kids part of the education system. So those are things that you need to talk about with somebody that you're interested in. Similar to what you were saying earlier. So, okay, you meet a woman that she's fucking cool. You like her. You could see something developing with her. Ask those fucking questions right away. Figure out how the relationship is with her father. Figure out how she wants to raise her kids. What's important to her? What's the most valuable thing that you can give her? And I'm not talking about a ring. I'm not talking about money. I'm talking about how can you make her as happy as possible? What really matters to her? Is that something that you can do? There's I think it's 5. There's 5 ways of loving. There's 4 or 5 different ways on how somebody will show love to somebody else.
Like touch, reaffirming words, all that. Like
touch, say little things.
Yeah.
I'm that type.
Giving.
Yeah. I'm that type. So I'm not a touchy-feely type of person, but I will do things. I'm always going to do little things just so, to me, little things mean everything. Those little things somebody does to me, and my girlfriend's very good at that. She does a lot of little things that I don't know. She'll make coffee before I go to bed. So when I get up in the morning, I just need to press on the coffee machine because I get up, it's pitch black. It's 2:30 in the morning. So I just have to start the machine. There's already coffee and water. That to me means the world to me. It's so small. But the fact that she goes to bed after me and I get up way before her, she still thinks to do that when I'm not around. But those are the little things you need to look for, because to me, this means everything. Somebody can tell you they love you all the time. That doesn't make it true.
It all comes through in the actions.
100%. 100% But at this point, man, you have options, man. You're a good-looking kid. You make money. You're a smart one. You're going, fuck, world's the limit. No, but world is the limit. For you three, it's fucking amazing. I cannot wait to see what you guys accomplish. It's going to be very interesting. I'm very happy I met you guys. It's going to be very interesting to follow where you guys are going, because you guys don't even know. Yeah. You're too young now. You don't even know where you're going. This is what's amazing.
That's where it's a lot to deal with sometimes. It's just like I'm at that stage where it's like I'm pretty confident in where I know we want to take things in terms of like the business, but in terms of as a person, young 20s, I'm in that stage that you talked about. I'm still figuring shit out. You know, I'm figuring out who I am, what values I view as important, why I do certain things, and becoming okay with certain things that I do as well, and just really becoming myself as a person, because I know we had the question of like what is a real man, what is a desirable man, mm-hmm. And to be honest, I don't think I'm quite qualified to answer that yet, because I haven't figured that out yet for myself.
Yeah, but that's a great place to be. This is the thing. You're saying it like it's a bad thing, but it's not. If there's one thing I could say from hearing you speak is you're so ahead of your time. You're asking all the right questions, and it's okay not to have the answers. Like I was telling you earlier, hurting is a good thing. It's a good thing to hurt. It's a good thing not to know. It's a good thing to be wondering, like, okay, am I at an age where I should do this? Most people don't ever ask themselves those questions. And those are the questions that really matters. You're talking about who you're becoming as a man. What's more important than knowing yourself? So you're asking all the right questions. Just the fact that you're asking those questions is a beautiful thing, because the answer will eventually come. Might be tomorrow, might be a year from now. Might be when you meet that girl picking up a coffee at Starbucks somewhere, you're like, oh shit, what the fuck is going on? But just because you've asked all those questions, that you've been pondering them, that you've been trying to figure out the answer, you'll be ready when that situation arises. You'll know how to deal with it. This is the beautiful thing.
Yeah. It's definitely part of the process is realizing that look, everything that I'm dealing with right now, it's okay, because the journey was exciting. Once you get there, well, like then it's like, oh, okay, like this is cool, but like the journey, I have to keep reminding myself that the journey of getting to where you actually want to be is really the exciting and the fun part.
You're asking all the right questions, you're saying all the right things, you're wondering all the right things. It's just a matter of time.
That's always the X factor.
And you know what? We've been going for 2 hours. I would say that's the perfect time to finish it right there. This is probably the biggest piece of wisdom that you can give any 20-year-olds that are as wide awake as you are. Just fucking give it time. You know, have faith in the process. Have faith. This is one thing we lack way too much of today. Have faith in the process. If you're doing the right things, if you're putting it out there, always comes back to you. No questions about it.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, you know, speaking some life into us. Seriously, if you're a young man, I mean, look, you don't have to agree with everything that I say, he says, or even we talk about, but I think it's always important to have conversations and see where people come from, because at the end of the day, you're never going to agree with everyone that you speak with, but if you can at least try to understand from their point of view and have these honest conversations in a civil manner, then I think everyone should have an opinion and have a voice.
100%.
So, yeah, thank you so much for having me on, Nico. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, man. Thanks for your time, bro.
You've been listening to The Nico Lagan Show. Nico has been involved in the martial arts for 20 years. He's a Muay Thai coach, focus coach, podcaster, and sought-after public speaker. We hope you've enjoyed the show, and we hope you've gotten some useful and practical information. We'll be back soon, but in the meantime, find us on Facebook and Instagram at Coach Nico Lagan and on YouTube at The Nico Lagan Show. See you next time.